Staircase!
On this housing estate, a group of youths have ran off from officers. Round the corner, they've found one of them, a 14-year-old, and again, a crowd is quickly forming.
They didn't have no ground. If he's got nothing on him, why would he need to get arrested?
We've all seen the statistics, the harrowing headlines of BAME minority groups falling into the most likely categories to be stopped and searched. But the answers as to why and how this is still taking place is still under debate. Just to give you some context, this is the number of stop and searches which took place in England and Wales. Black Caribbean, Black African and Black Other represented the highest overall figures. And what is concerning is the age for stop and searches continue to get younger and younger. Figures in 2019 to 2020 show that the London Metropolitan Police performed almost 91,000 stop and searches on people aged 15 to 19. In that same year, there were 1.2 thousand stop and searches performed on people under the age of 10. How do they know their rights? Leaders Unlocked is an organisation which enables young people and underrepresented groups to have a voice. This also includes within policing sector. And they are partnered up with the Independent Office for Police Conduct to create a youth panel which aims to increase trust in the police complaint system and to give young people the chance to scrutinise the work of the IOPC. I spoke to 3 panel members, young, smart and strong-willed. Their aim to change the system from within is the driving force as to why they have joined the IOPC Youth Panel. And they all have their own stories to share about their run-ins with the police, but what is important here is, instead of accepting this as their current reality, they are actively trying to make a change. Meet Ola, Malcolm and Aaliyah.
My name is Olukunle Giwa. I'm a youth panel member at the IOPC.
My name is Malcolm Swallow and I'm part of the IOPC.
My name is Alia McLaughlin. I am a member on the youth panel of the IOPC.
So I was asked to join by the director of Leaders Unlocked, and it was kind of just to see what I can do in order to support my community and majority Black people as a whole. But yeah, it's mainly been that. Obviously, the more I'm involved with it, the more it evolves into seeing a complete change in community watch and community policing as well.
What was your aim to get out? What did you want out of it?
By joining, I didn't come in with any personal aspirations or personal goals or personal ideas of what I was going to receive at the end of it. I kind of came into it with kind of a blank slate in my mindset, thinking, whatever I receive, whatever I get out of it is what I get out of it.
How long have you been working with them?
Almost 3 years.
Wow, that's a very long time.
Yeah.
And within these 3 years, have you been able to understand police conduct in a different way, or has it made you? How has it changed your perception of it?
It's changed it completely. I was 100%. I would say I'm definitely 100% more open in terms of how policing is ran in the UK, especially on how police perform their actions and when they perform their actions. So a lot of times, especially growing up in the social media age, and you were quick to draw a conclusion just from images we've seen online, which don't paint the full picture. Working with the IOPC, working with the Met Police, I've been able to see both sides of the story. So I can see a situation occur on social media, and then I can see the body-worn footage from the officer, and I've seen, the situation unfold from both sides of the story, and then you can draw a conclusion from it. And usually it's not just, oh, the officer behaved this way, which was improper. It's usually, okay, there's faults on both sides, but my issue then comes with, yes, there's issues on both sides, but it involves, one side is supposed to have a trained professional when the other side is just a normal human being walking. We don't know where this person's come from, whereas the other person's wearing a uniform, has a badge, has a collar tag, is getting paid by the public. So that's the kind of things I'm definitely becoming more aware of as my time with the IOPC draws on, is that there isn't just, okay, police officers are bad. It's maybe lack of training, it's maybe, yes, bad officers, but it's lack of good officers speaking up about the bad officers. It's lack of leadership is a key thing as well, leadership on the streets. So yeah.
My motivation really is because I live in an area in Scotland, in Liverpool, where it's a multicultural community. One of my first experiences was one of the young people that I work with. I have trained and played football with. His brother he passed away a few years back due to engagement with a police officer. So that kind of was one of the things that kind of gave me a realization of what's going on around the UK itself. Then just talking to young people, we're finding out like the whole community of Liverpool, of young people, they don't trust the police. So most young people, they're scared to kind of even talk to the police. So that gave me I wanted to use my own voice to kind of speak for them, those who are scared to speak for themselves if there's any trouble.
My motivation was that I wanted to be a spokesperson for the Black community, and I wanted to make change within how Black people are perceived and are treated within the policing community.
Have you had your own transgressions with police before you joined the IOPC?
So my issue that occurred before the IOPC, this one isn't my first, I'll say, altercation with the police, but it's definitely the most memorable. I was in secondary school, and just before we went into school, me and a few friends were just, being boisterous and messing around, as you do as a boy. As a boy in an all-boys school kind of thing. So we're all messing around, joking around, picking on the younger guys. Nothing serious, nothing malicious, just things that happen in school, but this time it occurred outside of school. And a police officer had noticed this, seen what was going on, and then went to our school and arrested all four of us. So he didn't arrest us there and then. He waited until we got to school, arrested us in front of the whole school, took us to the station. We was in the station for 14 hours. By the way, I'm 14.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm in the station for 14 hours. They then call my mum. My mum comes down. They interrogate me. And they say, arresting you under assault with intent to rob. So they blew up a little school scuffle into assault with intent to rob. So then they charge us. And by the way, this was around March, April. So I missed the last 2-3 months of school because obviously my school said you can't come while there's an ongoing court case. So I've missed the last 2-3 months of school. And over the summer, we're going through this case. And every day every day we go to court, the police postpone it. We need more time to build the case. I think we get to September and the school are saying, look, you guys need to do something because he can't miss. He's going into year 10. He can't miss the beginning of the year because of what's going on. So if you either have a case against him, you don't. So I don't know how that statement had got to the judge. And again, we go into court in September, early September, and again, asked for a postponement. And the judge was like, no, like, what do you have now? What do you have on them? So then they play the CCTV and the judge literally laughs. And he's like, is this it? Like, is this literally it? So the judge just literally throws it out and sends us on our way. For me, this is where community leaders come in. Because again, if you're an officer and you do think something malicious is going on, the issue is, why didn't he confront it there and then? Or why didn't he talk to us? Why did he wait for us to get to school before he then arrested us and paraded us in front of everyone? But yeah.
Wow. So like when that happened, and you missed all of that schooling, did you get an apology? Did you file a complaint?
We didn't file a complaint, no. Again, it was 14. Well, my mum was more than happy that it got through out more than anything, let alone file a complaint. But yeah, there's no apology, no sorry for wasting your time. The judge apologized, but that was about it.
Wow. What does that do to a 14-year-old and their perception of the police then?
Again, that was not my first interaction with the police.
Wow,
that was
at 14.
That was just the one that stands out the most, because obviously it was a case that lasted 6 months for absolute nothing. So that's why it kind of plays in your mind for a lot longer, whereas the other ones are just small little situations here and there. So it plays on your mind in a sense where you know anything an officer does, especially growing up, I just assume everything an officer does, his goal is just to arrest. It's not to, it's not to prevent the breach of peace. It's not to help society. It's not to do anything. It's to arrest someone, to show his power, to show, oh, look, I'm a police officer. I can do this. I'm going to do this. Oh, you can't speak back to me. I'm a police officer. That's literally how it's built in my mind, because that's how they behave. And this is where, the images have stuck. So if someone ever comes to me and asks, oh, what do you think about police? I don't like them. Why? Well, all police officers are bad. Well, again, police officers that I see wear the uniform all behave the same way to me. So there's only one assumption I can draw to it.
Yeah.
We kind of went to my friend's student accommodation, which is like the next block. It's not like I traveled like 20 minutes away or 30 minutes away. This was just like a minute away to the next block. So we were just having drinks, just relaxing, listening to music. There was no problems, and the security guards didn't have any problem with us. So as we just finished cleaning up the place, and as I was going home with my friends, I got stopped by about 6 police officers, and they dragged me to the side, and so I was kind of shocked why I was getting dragged to the side. And so they asked me, what are you doing here? I was like, I've just been with my friends and I was just helping them clean up. That's why I'm still here. So they were like, do you know that you're not allowed to mix households? I was like, yeah, but like it's a student accommodation. So, but then they told me to shut up. And so I was like, I'm trying to explain myself, why are you telling me to shut up? So, and then they said, I was like, so why are you dragging me to the side? They were like, we're dragging you to the side because we smell cannabis on you. I was like, I haven't smoked any cannabis. So, because I've drank and I'm trying to explain myself and I was anxious, so my voice was quite high. So I was like, can I explain myself? They wouldn't even give me a chance to explain myself on what's happening. So what amazed me was I seen another girl who was my friend. She's white. She was crying, and they let her go. They were about to take my name, but they never took her name. So I asked, I was like, "Are you trying to be racist or something else here?" So the police officer, she was Asian, by the way, she was like, "You better shut up and not say that." I was like, "I'm trying to ask there." Then one officer said, "Shut up." I was like, "No, I'm trying to explain myself." But they kept saying, shut up. So I was like, "No, because I need to explain myself, because I'm not trying to use the race card. I'm trying to find out what's going on here, because I never got the chance to ask why you letting go my friend. You're not taking their name, but you're taking my name." So got dragged on the side. They took my name down, and then they said, "I'm gonna give you a warning." So then I left. And then it left me anxious, because I was waiting for a week, because I thought me and my friends were gonna get a fine. So during this lockdown as well, so it's gonna be a high fine as well. So that was the first time where I felt so threatened by some people that you should trust. So yeah.
Is it right to say that you felt that you were treated unfairly in that situation?
Yes, I felt like I was, in a way. I wasn't given a chance. My freedom of speech was I felt like it was taken away. I was never given a chance to explain myself. So this is how people, I kind of work with the organization, and how people who've been stopped before, this is how it feels. So I felt really like I was shook. So then I talked to my friend as well. She was shook as well. She was like, I came back. One of my friends who was having the party was like, "Malcolm, I'm gonna lock my door in my room, and I'm quite scared."
Working with the IOPC, have you what has it been like vocalizing your views on this to the panel? Have you found that your views have been welcomed? Do you share a lot of the same views with a lot of people on the youth panel as well?
Yes, I definitely feel like my voice has been heard, and a lot of other Black panelists' voice being heard. I feel like our voices are being listened to carefully. I feel like before, people just listen and be like, "Yes, we understand" and stuff, but I feel like our voices are motivating action much better than before, due to, as I said before, like the George Floyd being the catalyst for everything, because this has been one of the catalysts for the IOPC. A police officer isn't a bad thing. Like, I feel like when people hear police officer, they're like, "Oh, bad person," or an abuse of power. But there are people there who still see the light, who just want to bring justice, who want to help the community, who want to take care of the community. And I see it daily in Birmingham. I feel like we have some of the nicest police officers. They'll be on their bike, they'll talk to the public. There are good eggs. It's just the few that taint what policing is about. So yeah, I do think my view has changed. However, while seeing such effort going into making this, improving the community, the policing community, trying to create that bridge between the public and the policing community, and there's so much effort to right the wrongs. So yeah, I do think somewhat positively of the policing community, but there's always room for improvement.
So with this that has happened, this happened after you joined the IOPC, yeah?
Yes.
And did you take that instance to the IOPC as a complaint?
No, I never did, because most people would have recommended me to do it, but I never did, because one, I felt like it to be against me, because, for example, one, instead of using the race card, one, I'm black. Two, it to be because I broke the rules, that I went to someone's household. That was the big factor. So I didn't want to get fined, and I didn't want to have like any conviction into my record. So, and as well, due to as I just received recently in March, I received my leave to remain status for 2 years, which is going to be renewed in next year. So that kind of shook me, so that I didn't want to report it, because one, I can a lot to lose. They don't have anything to lose. So my papers are my life, because I'm from Zimbabwe. I don't want to go back, because my life is already being built here. I have my friends, my family here. So I decided not to do anything, because I thought that this will be kind of affect me in many ways. If I get a conviction, when I go to renew my papers, that will work against me, because I only received 2 years. So, and I'm a university student. If I report it, I might lose my place in uni, because that's one of the guidelines, that you're not allowed to mix households as well, even though you're not in the university campus, even if you're on a private accommodation. So I decided not to report it, because I felt like it would just go against me, and I didn't have the names of the police officers as well. So yeah.
So you wanted to also protect your status?
Yeah. So like my status is important, and my family as well. Like, because if I haven't told my family that I got stopped by the police, because that would be another big deal, where like now I have to talk to my family to explain everything, because my family are quite religious as well. So they'll be like, is he drinking and everything like that? So I have to like kind of explain everything to it. So it's like I had a lot of things to lose, really. So
when the more that you've worked with the IOPC, has it made you feel like you're making a change?
Sadly, no. I spoke with so many community leaders and community workers, and amazing people in community outreach. People with MBEs, doctorates, just amazing people. And sadly, things I discussed with them about situations we're in terms of community policing and people's relationships with police. They're saying, oh yeah, this is how it was in the 70s, and this is how it was in the 80s, and this is how it was in the 90s, this is how it was in the early 2000s. And, this is 2020 and it's still the same. This year it's 2021. Sadly, obviously, it's just a few days, so we can't really say much. But, the thing that happened in Cardiff recently, it's sadly looking like it's just going to be another repeat of many years before. So in terms of the IOPC, I feel like we've built strength for them in terms of they can now come forward and say, this is recommendations you have to take on. Now, when they go to court, they have a bigger kind of platform in terms of talking and communicating with police, in terms of not with the police, but in terms of law in general. So if they do believe an officer has stepped out bounds, the strength they have in terms of taking it to court is a lot stronger than it was 3 years ago before we started. So I do believe we've made a change in terms of that. But in terms of actual change, in terms of policing and community work, I don't think there's been much change. I don't think there's been much development at all.
How does that make you feel as someone that's on there?
It feels like at times I'm wasting my time. But sadly, it's if you don't do it, then who will? And if you don't do it, then everyone assumes that everything's fine and everything's dandy, and this is how it should be. So you kind of have to, again, suck it up and force it, try your best to actually make change happen and see how far you can progress it.
I'll say on my side, because I'm based in Liverpool, I wouldn't say I haven't seen any changes yet. I haven't seen any changes, because I think I understand that everyone has difficulties at the moment during with Corona lockdowns and all. It's frustrating, but I think as a police officer you have to understand what's the job role. It comes with big factors, so their mentality I don't think has changed yet. So in Liverpool I haven't seen a change.
I do see improvements, even just having these discussions, even with those higher up and everything like that. The changes I've seen more have been with like perception of how they see things. That's where the biggest change has been, and the different programs they're trying to do, and as I said before, the training and stuff like that. So there is things being put forward to make a better future, to make a better connection. Those in higher up positions are seeing how such a big effect that these microaggressions, the racism, how truly it affects us, and how often it occurs, because it's not just like, you're black, I don't like you, it can be small things that you say, how you treat people, how they feel excluded, because normally people used to just think racism was just one extreme, but now people can see the range, and picking those out, highlighting those out, letting the higher ups know, like, these are the things people have been experiencing on the inside, on the outside, letting them know how it is. That is change itself, because their eyes are open to it, and once their eyes are open to it, they cannot consciously put a blind eye to it, because they know now. So it's slow, but it's coming there, and you know what, like, this is what we need. I think this is what we need. We need to hold those accountable. We shouldn't be feeling like we're going to be penalized or excluded for voicing our opinions, because I may not have worked in like the police force or anything, but I have worked in retail and stuff like that. And when you work in those public places, when you work as one of the few black people, you always feel uncomfortable to voice your opinions, because you're scared of the repercussion that is going to happen to your job, because you're one of the minority. So to be able to voice your opinions and your concerns without repercussion, without feeling like you may lose your job, is a great feeling. So knowing that you're protected on the inside as well as the outside.
Where I'm from, Zimbabwe, the police officer, there is a huge gap between the British and the UK. In Zimbabwe, it's known that the police officers, there's a lot of corruption. Mm-hmm. Here, you've got a police force where, like, they have a good budget. So I'll be expecting better training, better engagement with the community and the young people. Most of us, we wanted to be police officers, detectives and all that. But if you talk to any young people right now, none of them will say, oh, I want to be a police officer.
Why do you think that is?
I think because of course, the media, what we see about police officers on social media and everything, and especially because we are not just looking at the British police, because on the media scale, you're gonna look at the American police of what's going on with Black Lives Matter. For example, George Floyd, that will be the biggest one, really, looking at how the police have been treating people. Then even on the streets right now, people will randomly get stopped. So young people will see that image and say, these people that are treating just a normal person unfairly, and that kind of shows that, like, okay, why would I want to be someone like that?
So it's about refreshing, it's about finding those bad eggs, it's about reminding people, like, this is not a trend. Calling out officers for police brutality, supporting Black people is not a trend. Black Lives Matter is not a trend.
And the last question is, do you trust the police?
If there was an emergency, I will contact them. But I don't, with what I experienced last time, no, I wouldn't say I trust them at the moment of time.
Do you trust the police?
To an extent, yes. If I was in danger, would I call the police? So I would call them. However, I don't know, like, that is a very hard loaded question, I would have to say. I do trust them. However, as being a Black queer woman, I will still be mindful. I would still be mindful. I wouldn't put past anyone, because at the end of the day, people are people. Whether you're wearing a badge or not, it's a person behind the badge. So you never know their intentions or how they perceive people. So you always, I guess, have to be mindful. But yeah, I trust the police to an extent.
In the end, I did ask whether any of them trusted the police, and they all hesitated. And I found that really interesting. If we don't trust the people that are trying to protect us, who do we trust? If anything, these stories from these young people and their willingness to continue to push for change should inspire you to also do the same. To follow the rest of my stories, please subscribe to Hosted by Lisa. To follow some more of my investigative work, please subscribe to my podcast, The Scrutiny Hour, which is available on all major podcast platforms.